What we've seen in every channel as it's come online to digital is sort of the same trajectory, which is first you've got scarcity and everyone wants in, and so demand dollars flood in. And then right after that, you have, okay, well, there's a market here, and so supply rushes in to fill that demand. And in fact, you get oversupplied. And then when there's a glut of supply or a ton of supply, you really have nothing left to differentiate on. And so what you have to differentiate on is what people get in exchange for that value transaction that they make. It's happened in web, on desktop. It happened in mobile. It's happened in video. And it's starting to happen in CTV. We've seen, obviously, everyone tripping over themselves to become a streamer. And then with the augmentation of FAST, all of those things have created a ton of inventory. And so as a result, we're starting to get to that sort of second inning or second chapter, with the third chapter being, okay, I have a lot of money to park in CTV. What am I going to get in return? It's not just enough that I ran against really premium content, whether it's Netflix or NBC or whomever. I also want to get something in addition to knowing that my content ran against Patrick Mahomes or whatever it happens to be.
For the most part, you're right. It's been a lot of TV money moving over to this new inventory, but the hope is that the measurement and accountability mirrors the best of digital.
Right.
How is that going so far?
Well, it feels like a lot of the money. So we talk about that, 25 billion now and maybe 50 billion in the medium term that's coming over for linear, but that's coming from 70, right? So it's coming down from 70, and that's because you've got a lot of advertisers that have always advertised on TV, and I don't know what it is. Let's say 7 or 8 out of every $10 is going from linear TV down to digital TV, but some of that money is leaking out. But there's new advertisers entering the pie as well, and 1 out of every $1 is going to a lot of the big tech platforms, right? Because they get a lot of that full funnel measurement. So I feel like as a unit and as a group and everyone here, we've got to figure out how we build an antidote to that, which is it's no longer enough that we just do some reach and do some frequency capping and make sure that you've got this holistic GRP. Instead, we've got to be able to provide something that sits a little further down funnel. It doesn't have to be that you show up and you send someone directly to McDonald's and they only saw a CTV ad and then they went to McDonald's. But it does have to be more measurable and more accountable.
Yeah, that's interesting because this new breed of advertiser that's coming from social and other channels.
Right.
We kind of expect CTV maybe just to be just like any performance advertising, but it's maybe not going to play out that way.
Right. And it's going to be holistic too, right? It can't just be, like I said, it can't be, there are DR advertisers, but that's not a $70 billion market, and it never will be. McDonald's isn't invested in TV because they think that if they don't invest in TV, no one will go to their restaurants. They're invested in TV so that the next time you're choosing between McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and whatever else you might go to, McDonald's is top of mind for you. They're just trying to sort of water the upper funnel. But you've seen in a bunch of these commercials, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this weekend, last year this time, Saturday, Sunday, Monday nights, all of those commercials were just general branding ads. This year, this time, they have a call to action. Lowe's, Home Depot, McDonald's, all of these major advertisers have a call to action to download an app or do something so that they can tie a customer engagement point to that. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of that. We're going to see these calls to action because advertisers are trying to get more precise around what they're driving from those advertisements. TV being one of those channels.
I guess at the same time, if the other part of the market comes to television the way we hope, what are those brands want that they're maybe not getting yet from television? What do we need to do?
And you're talking more about that sort of trunk or the torso and tail.
Yeah, the DTC brands or the brands that have really grown up on Instagram, let's say.
Yeah, I think that's a whole tranche that was raised on Facebook when Facebook got too expensive for them to, when the customer acquisition cost and the lifetime value converged in the opposite direction. They said, okay, we have to go upstream. They went to TV, but they're not used to it. They're sort of allergic to it. And so they're kind of doing this, I don't know if it's half in, half out, but we work with a lot of these brands where they'll have a performance vertical and they'll have a brand vertical internally. The same way at agency holdcos over the past 5 years, you had a programmatic team and then you had a linear team. And I think over the long term, we'll probably see the same thing, which is that your performance team is going to start to get larger and larger seat at the table because it's driving measurable ROAS. And as that happens, you'll see that your branding team is starting to take cues from the performance team, the same way we saw where linear teams started looking to programmatic teams to understand more about connected television. That's the hope. That's the way that we at Moloco see the world. But I do think that there will always be a space for branding, and there has to be, and it's great. And it's an amazing sort of medium. Connected TV is an amazing medium for that. But I think that those two are going to start to merge much more.
Do you think there's been a lot of talk about outcomes and different viewpoints on how the TV should be graded? Is that going to be a generational shift, or is it going to be a structural shift that has to happen at brands and agencies to start thinking that way? Or
it's interesting because everyone has a different sort of business model within this, and so it's going to take. I think sort of it is going to be iterative. The way that, to your question, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take these sort of slow, looking shifts. But those long-looking shifts are going to come about, to me, I think, as a result of more and more clients demanding that their interest, the advertiser's interest, is met by the agency, and the goal is no longer just to deliver in full. I remember when I first started in this industry, that was sort of the best thing you could do, is like just deliver in full. Because if you don't deliver in full, then me as a CMO, I can't go get that same budget next year. I'm going to get the budget that you actually delivered against. And I don't think that the CMO of 5 years from now or 10 years from now, and their tenures are getting shorter every day, right? But 5 years, 10 years from now is going to be looking for delivered in full, which means that I don't think the agency of 5 years or 10 years from now is going to be thinking only about how do I just make sure that I spend all the money. They will need to, right? The larger the pie there, the more that they can offer in terms of services, and the larger they can grow. But it will not just be enough to just park money there. And I think that's the big sort of shift we'll see.
Lastly, there's a lot of hope that creative on television will sort of meet this moment of opportunity, but it's not easy to be able to have the optimization you're used to and all those things. Where are we now? Maybe what needs to happen?
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked about it a second ago, and I'm in media, and every time that I do a pitch or talk to an advertiser, their first question is always, "So what can you tell us about creative?" Right? Well, I'm in media. I don't really, but it is half, if not more than half of what drives performance, drives engagement. It is one of the most important parts of this industry, and we spend so much time talking about pricing and CPMs. I think that we will see more and more of this shift we've seen over the past few months, years, of those creatives that are trying to drive to some sort of an action, drive you to do something that makes you a measurable part of the funnel, rather than just, hey, we did a really funny Doritos ad last year, and we know we got great feedback on social, but did you move more product, right? Did we get more people to download the app? Did we get more people to engage with it in some way? Or I got someone to download the Home Depot app. I know now as a result that their customer lifetime value went from X to 1.6X. And I think that's what we'll start to see more and more in the creative across the board. Whether or not the creative gets sort of transactional, my hope is that it doesn't, right? That would be horrible for all of us, because then we're really just sort of watching really crummy creative. But the hope is that they'll find an engaging way, and they always do. The advertisers always do. Find an engaging way to drive you towards an action that keeps you engaged.